My Own Garms.
Oi oi, what is good with you lot? I'm Thomas Griffin, this is My Own Garms, and on this week's ep, I'm sitting down with Kazna Asker. Kazna is a fashion-focused, multidisciplinary artist who celebrates her Yemeni culture through her clothes and documentaries. Sam Birch, who is helping with the filming of Series 1, sent me a link to this BBC News segment celebrating Kazna's first show at London Fashion Week, which was very sick. I watched her documentary about the place she comes from on the train back up north and thought she'd be ace to get on My Own Garms. She makes absolutely mint gear incorporating second-hand trackies and traditional woven fabrics. I'm buzzing to hear more about the influences she draws on to create her work and how she celebrates and elevates her community through garms. If you're new around here, then whilst you're watching or listening, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We've got tons of ace episodes for you to go back and listen to, and loads more to come in this series. Follow us on Spotify, sub on YouTube, sub on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get yours. We've got new eps out Tuesdays, and then the Fit Pick breakdowns a bit later on in the week. Right, let's roll with this week's episode. It is My Own Garms with Kazna Asker. Kazna, nice one for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Soaked through on the way here?
Yeah, I'm so okay.
Yeah? What's your week been like this week? Creative, busy, chill?
Yeah, creative. I'm just working on a project for a magazine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you spill the beans on that, or is it all under wraps at the moment?
I can say the magazine.
Go on.
It's in collaboration with something else, but I can't say the something else.
All right. What's the mag?
It's just a magazine in Dubai, and it's a custom look for them.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Sounds exciting. And what's your role in this collaboration? Are you designing? Are you kind of directing?
So there's a group of Arab designers, and they all have to make a look. But then I just got told yesterday all the other Arab designers have finished their look, and I haven't even started mine. So I have 10 days.
What are you doing here? Come on.
I know.
Yeah, I hope we're not going to make
Priorities.
you late on the deadline for this.
Oh, no, it's fine. I've got 10 days.
Congrats to you on the label and the plaudits and the press coverage. We all love to see it. You must be pretty psyched on how it's going at the moment, the growth and the kind of traction. And
I mean, I am. It's been quite a lot of press about Sheffield as well, which is cool. So, yeah.
We're going to get on to repping your ends in a little bit. But what's it been like since, I mean, the BBC News article, which is Sam, who was helping out filming on the first series, he sent this across to me and he was like, check this out, like, you need to get Kazna on as a guest. She looks great.
Oh, really?
So obviously it's doing its job in spreading the word. But yeah, is it the last 6 months that you've seen a real pickup, or do you feel like it's been a steady trajectory of growth?
I would say maybe after my MA collection last year, it kind of went from like 0 to 100
Okay.
with the fashion world, kind of. But then afterwards, after that went down, it was been like a steady growth. And then I feel like recently it's kind of been like not the fashion world. It's more like the BBC and other people that have like learnt about me.
How did it feel, the 0 to 60? Did it feel overwhelming? Did you feel very vindicated and kind of like, finally everyone's picking up on it?
I feel like in the moment I was like, what's happening? I was so overwhelmed, but I definitely appreciated it all. And then when it went down and then it goes back up again, I feel like fashion's kind of like quick.
Yeah.
So like
the news cycle of fashion is very on and off.
Yeah. So then I just learnt more about the process.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I guess once you've been through a few of those cycles of ups and downs, and you just realise that that's normal, and you realise not to put too much self-worth and that kind of like your own. You shouldn't measure yourself on that, should you? You should keep doing your thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that collection that kind of kicked it off then. That was your final year at CSM, right?
Yeah.
So what was it that you were making in that year? And yeah, tell us a bit about it.
So we had to make a 6-look collection, and my 6 looks was, I designed in pairs. So it's like matching women's wear to men's wear.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just to show like the brother and sisterhood of my community and like the Muslim community and like Islamic modesty, and show that like we're cool people, you know, challenging like all the negative stereotypes. So I combined my British upbringing with my Yemeni heritage, and it was like streetwear, Islamic wear.
Do you think cool is something that isn't often associated with the clothes that you wear, and you wanted to put that out there?
I think so, because when I see like Muslim women in their abayas and hijabs, I'm just like, they're so cool and powerful.
Yeah.
And then when I go into the news and they're like describing it so differently, I used to think it was so confusing. So I feel like that's definitely like a priority for me.
How did you, with your designs, how did you really lean into that cool? Were you choosing different fits for them, different cuts? Was it the fabrics that you think made them stand out?
Definitely the fits, I think, and the cuts were more streetwear, I guess.
Okay.
Which were like, and the tracksuits were definitely a big inspiration. The fabrics, it was all like tracksuit fabrics, nylons, jerseys,
Sick. I know we talked about it a little bit in the bonus stuff, but I want to touch on the film again. I watched it when I was down in London last time, and Sam had told me about you. I watched the BBC News article and then the documentary on the train, and it's beautiful. In fact, I've written down what I said in the intro, so I must believe it. I said it's full of spirit and community and love and fight. So big up for that. Community seems like a big constant in the work that you create. How important do you feel like community's been to you?
I think it's super important to me. Especially now, I feel like people kind of use community as like a gimmick or an aesthetic. But I feel like I was really raised by a strong community. And also my parents had me super young. So like they were working super hard for me, my siblings. So I was really raised by like the village in Sheffield. Like my neighbours, my aunties, my cousins. And I was always in youth clubs, in Arabic school. So like I had like a really strong community. And I didn't realise how strong it was until I left Sheffield for uni.
And it wasn't there kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And no one else could identify with it.
Mad.
And I was like, oh, this is so crazy to me.
How have you got to where you are without what I've had kind of thing? Nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, community means a lot of different things for a lot of different people. We talk about digital communities and global communities and things like that, but it sounds like what you're referring to is a really strong, localized, like geographically small community.
Yeah. Super local. And I actually saw like a protest. I don't know where it was, but I saw a sign and it said like local cultures matter.
Yeah.
And I feel like that stuck out to me because those people go, what's the word? But like they're never acknowledged.
Okay, yeah. Misrepresented or underrepresented, maybe.
Yeah, so I feel like it's kind of like my responsibility, to represent them.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about that and how making changes at like a kind of hyper-local, tight-knit community can then have bigger and bigger changes that kind of echo out from there and change things on a more global scale. I think we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Rep your ends.
There's a few places that I want to touch on, but let's start off with the British part of your identity. So you were born and raised in the north of England. Tell us a bit about your earliest experiences of clothes in those places.
So I was born in Liverpool.
Okay.
And I stayed there till I was like 12, 13.
Okay. That's quite a chunk of what is quite a young life still. So tell me about Liverpool a little bit.
I loved Liverpool. Actually, it was like a love and hate relationship.
Don't diss the Scousers, they'll come for us.
I know.
So I went to university in Liverpool and I've taught in Liverpool, so I know
a
little bit.
I went back to Liverpool as well. So I was born in Liverpool till I was 12.
Yeah.
Then I went to Sheffield 12 to 18.
Okay.
And then I went to Liverpool for a year in college, so 18 to 19.
Sick city.
Yeah, I feel like the 18 to 19 year old, I viewed Liverpool so differently to what I grew up with.
Were you in a different part of Liverpool when you went back?
Yeah, I was just in town in the centre. But before I was in Fazakerley. I don't know if you know where that is.
Fazakerley, yeah, I know Fazakerley. Yeah. You can't help but notice Scouse style. I think it's one of the most not diverse, but it's the most different to the rest of England.
Yeah.
Than anywhere else I've ever been, I think. And you can almost spot Scousers from a distance, I think.
Definitely.
How they wear stuff. Did that rub off on you? Like, do you think the tracksuits and streetwear...
I was just about to say that. Like, every single person in Liverpool was wearing a tracksuit. Like, every single age group, especially in Fazakerley, like, on non-uniform days, all the girls would be in tracksuits, all the guys would be in tracksuits, and then like our parents would pick us up and they'd be in tracksuits.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's definitely my obsession with tracksuits.
Yeah.
And my dad owns corner shops in Liverpool, so like I was always like sat on the till with him, and like a random guy used to come and sell us tracksuits all the time.
Jog ones off the back of a lorry.
Yeah.
Nice. So how did you fit into that? Did you have the tracksuits? Did you want the tracksuits? Like,
Yeah, I definitely wanted all the tracksuits, especially when I saw my dad and my brother wear them. I was like, I want them as well. So everything my brother got, my dad would have to buy me as well.
okay. And what are we talking? What brands? What colours? What cuts? Are we talking cuffed hems at the bottom? Like,
yeah, I remember specifically a random guy sold us Lacoste tracksuits.
Lacoste trackies, I was going to say.
And the one that I had was navy blue. It was all nylon, cuffed at the bottom. And when I say I wore that every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're an amazing piece of clothing. Like, you feel comfortable, they flow nicely.
Yeah.
They've got kudos and heritage, and they're exotic. Lacoste's one of the brands that comes up all the time on this podcast. So many people have a really kind of... The guy that we've got on after you is called Jimothy Lacoste. That's his stage name. And like, nearly everyone that comes on is like deeply bonded to that brand. I think it affects people at an early age.
Yeah.
Just a cool logo, isn't it? Crocodile.
Yeah. Also, I remember when we were in primary school in Liverpool, my mum and dad went to New York for like 2 days. They came back with like suitcases of clothes, and they were dresses all up in Rockaware and like G-Unit clothing as well.
Mad.
So, and they brought all that to Liverpool. And then I remember like a shop opened. I don't know if you know where Walton Vale is.
Yeah, I've heard of Walton Vale.
So it's kind of Nifazakli, and they sold all the American clothes like Rockaware, Marc Echo, and like we just lived in that shop as well.
So this is kind of where, I mean, yeah, the tracksuits that people wore in Liverpool were kind of baggy, but nothing compared to what you were getting from these American hip hop brands. Like, I wore a lot of them when I was little, like Echo, like Fubu, like Sean John stuff, Rockaware to a certain extent, and One, and they were really largely proportioned stuff. So yeah, it's interesting to hear which one of those was your favourite. Which one did you like really covet the most?
Rockaware, because my dad got us all. So me, my sisters and my brother. There's only 1 year between us.
Yeah.
So like we all had matching outfits.
Sick.
It was for Eid Day. I'll send you the picture.
Yeah, do it. Did that happen a lot with you and your siblings? Like you were dressed as a little matching set?
Yeah. All the time on non-uniform days, we'd all go matching.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it still prevails to this day, like the picture you showed us from just a year or two ago. Like,
I didn't realise
and now you're
that.
in your Garms.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so Liverpool till you were 12, then you moved across to Chef. Tell us a little bit about what differences you saw there and kind of how you fitted into that.
I think maybe that's where I saw like my faith and my culture more.
Okay.
Because in Liverpool, we were in a very like white working class area.
Yeah.
And then when we went to Sheffield, it was still a working class area, but it was just all like minorities. It was mostly the Yemeni and Somali community, Pakistani community. And I think that was like the first time I'd ever seen that many like Muslims in the UK in one place. So I would always see like Islamic clothing and things. And I think that definitely changed my perspective on everything as well.
In the little documentary, you go to some traditional garment makers. Was that the first time that you'd seen those fabrics rolled out in shops when you went to Sheffield? Was there none of that in Liverpool?
No, nothing. Like, even just seeing women in headscarves.
Yeah.
I never used to see it in Liverpool until I went to Sheffield. And the abayas and the rolls of fabrics, just like all the culture. And then I think that's when I kind of like relearned my Yemeni culture.
Yeah.
So I became like very like obsessive with learning everything about it.
Okay.
I would ask my parents so many questions about Yemen. Like I wanted to know everything. Yeah, maybe because that came like later in my life.
Okay. Did you alter the way that you dressed then before you moved to Sheffield and saw other people that looked like you, that were from the same background as you? Were you not dressing in those kind of fabrics and fits?
Yeah, I don't think I was wearing like Islamic clothing at all in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Sheffield, I started to wear it with my grandma and things. She would get me like little kids' clothes, which was cute.
Tell us about your grandma. Like, is she... Were your parents born in England as well, or were they immigrants?
Both my parents are immigrants, but my mum came when she was 5.
Okay, so super young.
Yeah, so she basically claimed Sheffield.
Yeah.
And then my dad came when he was like 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little bit older. But I guess tapping into your grandma's heritage, she would have lived the majority of her life in Yemen, right? That must be an interesting conduit, an interesting thing for you to tap into, to talk to her and to learn from. Was there a fashion element that she taught you about, do you know?
Yeah, she actually did teach me how to sew like traditional Yemeni dresses.
Wow.
But they're super easy compared to like the British style of clothing. So like a Yemeni dress is just literally a square piece of fabric. Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
A square piece of fabric, and it's just got a neckline and then 2 holes for arms. And then you just put it on and then you drape it around yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas British clothing is so technical and the pattern cutting's so hard. Yeah.
But I guess once you've learned the rudiments of using needle and thread, then you can kind of expand it in whichever direction you want, can't you?
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about Yemen, because it's obviously a massive part of you and the work that you create. It must be something that you're really proud to be able to tap into, right?
I feel like, I don't know, it's just a part of who I am. I'm super proud of the culture. And also I feel like with everything happening there right now, like it's kind of my responsibility again to rap it hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw an interview with you from a few years ago saying that you hadn't been over. Have you been over since? Have you ever been?
No, I've never been.
Okay, well, that is something that surely must happen at some point.
Definitely.
Yeah? Have you got any plans to do that in the future?
Yeah, honestly, every time I see a family member, I'm like, take me with you.
Yeah.
But in Sheffield, where I live is basically Yemen.
Okay.
Like, it's so many Yemenis. So Yemeni food, Yemeni music, Yemeni culture. And also, I'm not just saying this because I'm Yemeni, but I think Yemenis are literally the kindest people ever. They're always smiling, they're always happy. And I feel like their lifestyle is it's just a happy lifestyle.
Okay. And this is something that you've really channeled with your brand. Like, I often see, when I've been on the website, I often see the word kindness and I see the word like happiness pop up a lot. Do you think that's something you've kind of absorbed from that side of from your Yemeni background?
I think so. And especially in the fashion world, everyone's super determined to go to like the next award or the next accolade. No one's like appreciating the moment.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like with Yemenis, all they do is appreciate the moment. And yeah.
I don't want to be that guy fetishizing traditional women's clothing of other countries. But can we talk for a second on Yemeni shepherdess drip?
Yeah.
My mate Mez sent me over this picture of a Yemeni shepherdess and I was just blown away. And I thought, yes, speaking to Kazna today, I'm going to ask her about that. And then when I scrolled back through your Instagram looking for pictures of yourself, I saw that you'd posted the very picture that she'd sent across.
Oh, really?
Like, not even taking the cultural kind of aspects, it's just a visually striking image, I think. I've never seen anyone wear a hat like that before.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So what's your experience of that? Did you know about that all your life, or did you happen across it and just think it was cool? Or
I actually saw it in a book about just Yemeni communities.
Yeah.
And then I showed my grandma and I was like, oh my God, look at this. And she was like, yeah, this is normal.
Yeah.
Because I guess, Yemen is I know it's a really poor country and it's super developing, but the way they live is like still kind of like the biblical times.
Okay.
So like the women are all shepherds and my grandparents were shepherds.
All right.
And they said like the hats were normal and they would weave them themselves.
Wow.
For like the heat and things.
So for those people just listening in audio, we'll flash a picture of this up for the people listening.
Yeah.
Can you describe to us what that outfit looks like?
It's a black abaya.
Yeah.
And a black headscarf and a black niqab.
Yeah.
I guess that's the Islamic modesty part of it. And because it's so hot and all the women are shepherds in the villages, and it's so hot during the day, when they go to like bring in the sheep, they're all hand woven hats.
Yeah.
And
they're really tall, right? Pointy.
Yeah. And they keep it super tall for the heat.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't really know the science behind it.
Yeah.
But that's what everyone kept telling me.
I guess if you've got sun beating on the outside, having an area inside that's not got hot air in it might be cooler.
There's also another hat where it's like flat, but it's just like really wide, so it like covers your face and everything as well.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Super wide brim, keep the sun off your body, I guess. But the pictures that I saw, it looked like there was lots of very ornate embroidery. It's predominantly black, but then with like white embroidered parts on elbows, and yeah, just striking to me.
There's so many subcultures within the tribes as well.
Okay.
So I think, you know, the black abayas, they only came recently, maybe in like the last 50 years because of Saudi Arabia's influence.
Right.
But before that, it was super colourful.
Okay.
But I heard now the fashion is like gloves with your abayas and velvet.
Right, nice.
Yeah.
Is that something you're looking to work into future collections, maybe?
Yeah, definitely.
Sick.
Yeah.
How well documented is it in books and stuff? Have you got bits that you can tap into to find out what these styles and fashions were like before the predominance of the black abaya?
I feel like it's been super hard trying to find Yemeni culture in books. There's a few like old school photographers that would travel around the area and capture it. But actually, yeah, there is a few photographers that have captured the colourful side.
Yeah.
But I think nowadays the communities are so private. It's really hard for like them to trust photographers and things.
Yeah. You've got to get over there.
I know, right?
I just feel like if you went, then you could go to these people, and because you're such a great communicator and talker, you could go and tap into their knowledge, and you need to do it soon, because these people that have experienced that 50-year-old are probably quite old.
Yeah.
Go and make a documentary over there.
I know, right? I'm going to go.
Come on, make it happen. I'd watch that. So tell me, you mentioned it a few times about covering up and modest fashion. Tell me about your relationship with that and your thoughts on bigger brands incorporating it into their releases. I think here I'm talking about Nike have done like athletic hijabs and stuff like that. Do you love to see that? Is it something you think is problematic? Tell us a bit about your thoughts on it.
I love to see it because I feel like representation's needed.
Yeah.
Also, growing up, I never saw it like on built. Like I never saw it represented. So when these big brands represent it, it makes us feel like we're welcomed and things.
Yeah.
I feel like it's usually like behind the scenes, like, you know, when they don't have any Muslim designers, and then they just assume things, and then sometimes it can become problematic. But the actual message itself, I'm super for it.
Yeah, I think this is what I was driving at, really. Like, are they using it properly and properly making changes, or are they using it to kind of score a point on socials?
Sometimes it's just tokenism.
Yeah.
Like, we just need one black model, one hijabi model.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did a documentary with Mundial magazine for this young athlete who was the captain of the Somali women's team, Ikra Ismail she's called, and she lives in London, and she's modelled a lot for Nike, and the stuff's amazing. And I guess it's making young Muslim women who didn't think that these activities and spaces were available to them. I can do I can wear what I want to wear, but still do these things, which I guess is
definitely
a good thing, right?
Yeah.
And that plays a role in the stuff that you create as well, right? You're considerate of that when you're creating modest fashion, I mean.
Yeah, I try to prioritize the modesty bit because, well, I'm working with a youth club right now in Sheffield, and I feel like the girls in the youth club, they don't really see people, or like they'll always ask me, oh, can you do this but in a longer sleeve so I can wear it? So I feel like for them as well, I try to prioritize it in my designs. Also, it kind of comes naturally to me. Like sometimes I don't think about it. Yeah. It just so happens that it's
built
modest.
into you kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Obviously, you're incredibly proud of your background, but the areas you grew up in as a kid were majority white. This is the Liverpool era I'm talking about, I guess. Did you have to modify what you wore to fit in or survive in these spaces?
I don't think I did. I feel like my parents are super strong people, so like I feel like that part came out in me as well.
Okay.
I didn't compromise. But then I'm trying to think, oh, actually I did. When I was in school, I had really curly hair, so I would always straighten my hair, I guess.
Okay.
But with the actual clothing, I don't think I compromised it.
Yeah. Tell me about the hair straightening then.
Yeah.
That a bad era. We've all had one of them. I think I did mine. I've got curly hair, and I did mine a few times, and it never looked good.
And I feel like I would wake up so early in the morning and beg my mum to straighten my hair for school. And I was only in primary school, but because everyone had straight hair, like, I just thought that was the beauty standard. No, it carried on to secondary school as well. That's a lie. I don't know when I became proud of it. Maybe like when I was like 18. Yeah.
Whenever I have straightened my hair and I've heard the hiss and then I feel it afterwards, I just think, this can't be good. Like, I feel like I'm deeply damaging my hair, you know.
Yeah.
Every day can't be good for it. Wash it once a week and that's about right for me. We've kind of touched on this a little bit, but I'll ask the question anyway. I know global subcultures are a big source of inspiration to you as a designer. Hip-hop and streetwear, very apparent in the proportions and the kind of cuts and logos that you create. Are there any other maybe lesser known subcultures that you've drawn on for your work, or just ones that you think are dead cool to look at?
I feel like I gravitate to like subcultures that have always been like part of a movement.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? And they've represented like something greater.
So not just people that want to dress in a certain way, it's got to have some cultural, political, musical attachment as well. All of those things maybe.
Yeah, I think so. And then fashion just played a part in that and drove it forward.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I feel hip hop's like the biggest one to me. But
American hip hop or like English grime music and stuff like that?
I feel like both. I feel like with the American hip hop, I really gravitated to like the political message that they would have behind their music.
Yeah.
You know, like Public Enemy and things, and like how they would use fashion and music to create like a revolutionary movement.
Yeah.
I feel that's so powerful. I don't know if that exists anymore. You know, that type of like energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then obviously like British grime as well. I feel like just being like a British minority, like seeing yourself in that space, I feel like it's so cool.
Yeah, I think on a clothing angle from those as well, like it might not appear political, the clothing itself, but like the fact that FUBU and the fact like Sean John and Rockaware were black-owned brands. It was the people that were deeply embedded in the culture that were making and profiting from the clothes that were being sold rather than them buying from, say, Nike or Adidas or these massive like global things. And it's a kind of like for us, by us mentality. You know, we're creating the clothes for our people to wear and represent themselves. And I think that can only be a good thing, really.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's something that maybe has inspired you to create your own clothes for your community so they can represent themselves?
I think so, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I always see like my tote bags and actually my dad sells my t-shirts at my cousin's corner shop.
Amazing. That's so
like
cool. When
I go to Sheffield, I'll always see like random men wearing my t-shirts and I'm just like, how did it get here? But yeah.
Do you think
cool.
the men that are wearing it, are they getting it? Are they your dad's friends that he's persuaded to get it, or do they like the design, or are they wearing it in a different way that maybe someone at CSM would wear it? You know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like the older men that I see wear it, sometimes it's like uncles, and I'm just like, this is so confusing. You're wearing this t-shirt. But I think they're just buying it because it's my dad and I'm his daughter. And I feel like with the tote bags, the girls really like the message and wearing like a girl, the hijab, like on a tote bag. And then the younger people really buy into the message. I've noticed some people are really into the aesthetic of fashion. Some people buy into it for the message, and then some people just like buy into it because they like you as a person.
Yeah. If you've got all those three things, you're kind of covering all the bases, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think this question leads on quite well from that one, actually. So some people doubt art's ability, and I think fashion particularly, some people view it as frivolous or peripheral to proper power struggles, you know, proper political action and that. But yeah, some people doubt art's ability to enact much real life positive change in the world, but you kind of doubled down with your own more traditional activist work, and I'm talking about going to marches and things like that, and you know, talking to politicians in Sheffield. Have you seen firsthand changes that kind of fashion and clothing can make to, I don't know, politics and culture?
I think so. I think the change is really from the young people, which is cool because obviously the future's theirs. I was just talking about this with my friend actually. people think young people have like an apathy towards politics and they're not into it. They think it's boring and they don't care. But then when you actually speak to the people in the youth club, like they're really into it. They don't feel comfortable speaking about it because they don't identify with like those people arguing in the House of Commons or these politicians, like they don't represent them. But then when it's through fashion, they can identify with it. And now they're so open-minded and now they want to talk so much about it. And they just want to be, like when they want to represent something, they want to be right next to you. So I think fashion has made it super accessible for young people to really drive the change.
Therefore, it's making it cool again, isn't it? Like you mentioned it before, like how are you ever going to get kids to engage with politics when you look at the state of how they're all dressed and what they speak like? And, you know, the little clip that I saw of you talking to the powerful people in the
Sheffield Town Hall
and stuff like that.
Meeting.
You know, you're speaking clearly and powerfully, but you're not changing the way that you speak to people. You know, you're doing it on your own terms, and I think fashion can play a part into that. It shouldn't have to be stuffy. It should be representative of everyone, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Top 3 selected.
So you're a young designer and you've taken inspiration from lots of different places. Give us your top 3 sources of inspirations for your designs. It could be existing brands that you admire, places that you've been, subcultures, as we've mentioned, or life experiences that you've been through. Where do you draw from?
I would say definitely Sheffield.
Okay.
And the local community.
Yeah. And that inspires you in terms of the fabrics that you've used, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, or like even just the people. So like you can see like a really like an older auntie and she's in a traditional abaya and headscarf, and then next to her is her son in a puffer jacket and tracksuit and like a whole roadman. So like you can really see like the whole intergenerational like perspectives on culture.
You're seeing them literally next to each other and you're thinking, merge those things together kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, definitely. And then what else? I would say music really inspires me.
Any music in particular? Artists, genres?
I feel like I'm an old soul.
Okay.
I like Mustaf.
Okay.
J Electronica. Yeah. J Dilla though.
Yeah.
Add him to the list. He's definitely an inspiration to me. Yeah.
So this era of hip hop, you feel powerfully like inspires you. Do you think it is like Mos Def, the stuff that he will talk about, you know, it's funky, it's listenable, but it packs a punch politically like as well.
Yeah.
Is that something that you find inspiring?
Yeah. I feel like it's music that's like super clever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really want to like be clever with my fashion as well. And also, you know, there's really like those rappers that are super, super underground, but then they're super, super talented. And then the people that ride with them are like hardcore. They have like a hardcore fan base.
Okay.
And they represent like just a certain demographic of people. I kind of want to be like the fashion version of that. Like, I would rather influence and have impact on a small amount of people.
But really impact them, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I can see where you're coming from completely there. Okay, so we've got Sheffield, we've got music. Third for your top 3 list of inspos.
I actually don't know.
Is there any brand out there that you see doing things that you think is particularly inspirational? Or do you hate everyone else apart from your own?
No. Actually, every time I upcycle, I always upcycle Adidas things. And I don't know what it is. It's just something about them.
What kind of stuff are you
maybe
upcycling?
It's the community aspect in their marketing as well.
All right.
That I gravitate to. But it's just Adidas tracksuits, all their fits and things. But also, I really like, not really like Cortez as the brand, but their marketing and how they represent Britain is sick, I think.
Yeah, very sick. They're getting a lot of love on this podcast at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, tell me a little bit about the upcycling then. So say you got Adidas trackie that had a branding on it, 3 stripes down one sleeve, or the trefoil on the breast pocket, whatever. Are you taking those stripes off? Are you making it so it doesn't look Adidas and then making it into your own thing? Or are you playing with what's already there and kind of repurposing that into what you do?
I always keep the stripes on.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of showing you're working, isn't it then? It's like not, you know, everyone's aware where it comes from and you can tweak that meaning and kind of twist it into what you want it to be, I guess.
Yeah, I always buy secondhand stuff from Sheffield, and then I just figure out like where the paneling would work, and then add my traditional fabrics onto it.
Yeah.
And then I hand make a matching bag with it myself as well. So it's kind of like, it's low-key like a collab, but I just did it myself.
Nice.
They don't know about it.
Well, they'll come for you. They'll see it. They've got to. Tell us a little bit about sourcing then, because a lot of people that I know that do vintage selling, they talk about the joys of, you know, going through secondhand shops and stuff. Is that something that you really enjoy?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I did my BA in Manchester.
Okay.
And I think that's kind of when I got into like secondhand clothing.
Seems like there's a lot of places to choose from up there.
Yeah.
Where were you going when you were in Manchester? Where were you going getting the goods from?
The Northern Quarter.
Yeah.
And Longsight Market.
Okay.
I remember. Yeah.
So how old are we talking then? Maybe 4 or 5 years ago-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it's changed in the past 4 or 5 years? Is it more difficult to get good stuff now?
I think you need to know where to look. In Sheffield, there was never like that many secondhand stores, but recently there's so much more. I think it's easier for me to go to Sheffield to find them. I think in London, it's really hard to find stuff.
Too many cool kids about it.
I know, right? And everything's so expensive here. But yeah, in Sheffield, there's so many new places.
Rags Parade is one in Sheffield that often gets shouted out on here. Do you know that one?
No.
I think they sell a lot of kind of vintage military stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's called Jojo, the guy. But yeah, I'll have to get him on here at some point. Seems like a nice chap. Now we've got Kazna Asker, the brand, rather than just the person. You've had quite a formative experience studying Central St. Martin's, which is where I presume the brand kind of started, grew out of. You've shown recently at London Fashion Week, and the gear is sick, as evidenced by what you're wearing today. Tell us a little bit more about the label. My brand combines my British upbringing with my Yemeni heritage, so it's just tracksuits with Middle Eastern fabrics, kind of. And also graphic T-shirts, jumpers, tote bags. But yeah, it kind of just combines both my worlds. And recently I got New Gen with the British Fashion Council. So I'm signed for 6 collections with London Fashion Week, but I haven't done one yet. So, okay. Is that
so that's coming.
Is that like spaced out over 6 seasons? You have to deliver, so would that be like 3 years worth of work?
Yeah, basically.
Amazing.
And they just provide you the platform, because I think it's super expensive otherwise.
But yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a cool prize to give, because, you know, it'd be cool if you said you can do it for 1 season, but it's the longevity and the kind of the ongoing progression that they want to see.
Yeah.
Sick. So you've not done one yet. Have you got a deadline for the first one?
So there's one in February. Hopefully I can make a collection for that. I did one in September, but I presented a film instead. And I kind of made it like a community event.
I saw the vids, yeah. Look great.
So I brought like my grandma's living room to London.
I was going to say cushions and sofas and stuff.
Yeah,
about.
Middle Eastern carpets,
Nice.
people sitting on the floor, drinking Yemeni tea.
What's Yemeni tea like?
It's so good, honestly. You need to drink it. Or drink karak chai. That's very similar. And it's like condensed milk.
Yep, super sweet, creamy, like.
Yeah.
Nice.
With
okay.
tea.
Well, I've got a brew that's stone cold here, so I'll do some Yemeni tea after that. Tell us a little bit more about your peers at CSM, because when I look back at who has graduated from there, like there's some proper genius designers. Another podcast that I do a bit of work on was a woman who does Irish knitwear, and she was telling us about the people in her year, and it was like 3 massive names.
Oh, really?
That I can't remember off the top of my head at the moment. But is there anyone that you've met on your course, maybe your year or the year above, that is doing proper interesting stuff that we need to keep an eye out for?
Yeah. I mean, I only graduated last year, but there's a guy on my course. I share a studio with him, actually.
Yeah, shout him out.
Charlie Constantino.
Okay.
He does hand dye fabrics, like quilting, but it's like a really unique quilt.
Sick.
He really focuses on like technical textiles.
Okay.
So it's very technical. He's amazing.
Amazing. Sounds super interesting. And must be good creatively to share a space with. You know, you can bounce ideas off each other. And
Yeah, sometimes when he goes on holiday, it's like hell being in that studio.
so lonely.
Yeah, it's so much better to be like with someone that's creative.
Yeah, I get that. I get it. And is there anyone that was presenting amazing stuff at the end of year shows?
Another friend is Eliza Marie Gronfeld.
Okay.
And she does like draping with tracksuits. But it's
What's
like
draping?
really unique draping. It's like, you know, when you just like put it on a mannequin and then like you experiment with how like the fabric drops and things, and then you sew it into that place around the body.
Wow.
So it's only like a one of one piece every single time.
Right. Sounds very fashion schooly.
Yeah, it's super unique to her.
Amazing.
But
Look them up. That's ace. It's always good to get them names out now and see how they're getting on in 3 years' time. One of the garments that really stood out to me when I was scrolling through your Insta was a waterproof abaya. I think it's really powerful symbol of like immigrant identity. And I don't know what rainfall's like in Yemen, but I imagine it's a bit less than what we're getting at the moment in Sheffield. So probably wouldn't call for a technical waterproof outer wear like that. What's the thought process behind using these technical fabrics in your designs?
It's kind of just like how I said I was always raised on tracksuits in Liverpool. So I think I always naturally go to those fabrics first before I go to anything else. And then, it was just in Sheffield, I would always see like tracksuits next to abayas. So that was kind of the inspo, like combining them both. And
like the way that I look at it is you know, immigrant communities are often asked to fit in or anglicize or be less themselves in England, and that you like using waterproof fabrics to make traditional stuff is like you're being true to your roots, but you're literally creating stuff that's making you more comfortable in the new place that you're at. And like it looks like, you know, we're talking about clothing and politics not really meshing, but it's politics in a piece of clothing. You know, I'm here, I'm wearing my thing that I'm proud of, but I'm also not getting wet in your shit climate kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
It's true. And also I think when people see the traditional side of garments, it's such a foreign concept to them and they can't identify with it.
Okay.
And now when the British communities will see it in a waterproof fabric, because they can identify to that one part of it. Yeah. They can...
It's a gateway in kind of thing.
Into the community, which is cool. Low-key storytelling. Yeah,
defo. Amazing. Yeah, storytelling through clothes. Like, is that something that you try and do when you create a new piece?
Yeah, I think storytelling's definitely like a big part of my process.
Okay.
Like fashion, the film, even just the event. Like I try to like tell a story.
Have a narrative kind of path through it.
Yeah, I don't know if people get the story, but like it's just like how I like start my work. Yeah.
Next hype.
Tell us what is next for Kazna Asker the brand and Kazna Asker the human being.
For my brand, I would like to make a new collection and just continue producing. I don't want to like, I don't know. Do you know some people, they'll sacrifice ideas for like something else? I don't want to be like a business model. I want to continue being creative.
Okay.
And then for me as a person, I want to continue working with local communities in Sheffield and keep bringing them to the forefront of things and kind of just bring everyone on my journey with me.
What about retail? Have you got any ideas, any long-term plans? I know your clothes are available to buy on a direct-to-consumer thing on the website. Like, have you done pop-ups where people can buy? Is that something you'd like to do more of?
I have a pop-up in Dubai next month, which is cool.
Get your plane tickets, yeah?
I know. I did a pop-up there last year as well. I feel like direct-to-consumer works for me and like my morals kind of, because it's like you get to meet the people directly, have a relationship, and then you're building your community like in a personal way.
Yeah.
And I feel like with retail and wholesale, there's always going to be like a fourth wall.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe in like 2 years, you never know.
Yeah. I guess, doing it the way that you're doing it, makes it a community thing, I guess. You've literally got to meet up with the people and converse and exchange ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
Nice. As a wearer of clothes, is there anything out there at the moment that you've got an eye on?
I don't know. I feel like recently it's shoes. Like, I don't know, maybe because my shoes are all like, they're all getting wet right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need a new pair of shoes.
Wellies for winter, yeah?
I know, right? I don't know if there's something specific though.
Which shoes have you been eyeing up? Winter boots? Or is it always trainers?
It's always trainers.
Right.
I think that's kind of my problem though.
Yeah.
I need to adapt to the environment. Yeah.
You ever thought about designing footwear yourself? Kazna Asker footwear?
I would love to one day. Yeah.
Be amazing. I think what you do will lend itself so well to a collaborative thing as well, you know, taking the patterns and fabrics and stuff that you've worked with. It looks so good on a trainer.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to complete the top to toe fit.
I know, right? That'd be so cool.
Goals. Final question for you today, Kazna. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you care about clothes?
I think maybe an 8.
Okay.
Because I feel like I'm trying to represent more than clothes.
Yeah.
But then clothes has always been my medium, and I'm always like, I always go back to them. Yeah.
That's almost precisely what I thought you were going to say.
Really?
So I feel very vindicated, yeah. It's more than clothes, but clothes are the...
Yeah. And also, I really like people and their stories, and it just so happens people wear clothes as well. Yeah. So like...
almost the one thing that we've got in common, in it, as humans. Like, we all wear them.
Yeah.
I always find it fascinating. You know, some people are really, really into fashion and think about it a lot. But people who aren't and probably would say, no, I'm not into fashion at all, they're still making decisions about what you're putting on in the morning, aren't you?
I know.
And what that says about you as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, endlessly interesting. Anyway, Kazna, thanks a million for doing it. Really appreciate your time. And yeah, big up on what you're doing.
Thank you for having me.
Nice one. Yes, Kazna is a boss. Totally love her and what she's doing. Go and follow her on Insta. She is kazna.asker. That is KAZNA.ASKER. And head to kaznaasker.com to cop some gorgeous one-of-a-kind garms. Right, that's about a wrap for this week. If you want to support us financially, then head to patreon.com/myowngarms and chuck us a few quid. I think we're on about £5 a month at the moment, so we might be able to buy a new microphone in about 3 years. If you're skint, then just tell one of your mates about us next time you see him in real life. I'm personally a bit shit at listening to recommendations, but I fucking love dishing them out. Anyway, tell a pal who likes their clobber to give us a spin and then send them your favourite episode on WhatsApp. Zero cost, pure positive karmic energy. Thank you, appreciate it. That's it for now. Fitbit breakdowns out later this week. See you then.
I get so much by strangers. Breaking. Trust me, it feels amazing.